Hi, time again for another Smokin' Stills video. That's what I finally decided to call it, just Smokin' Stills, because it makes sense. The question has come up about using wood for the bowls on our pipes here. The wood that I use is actually, I've always called it hedge apple. A lot of people call it Osage orange or bodock. If you live in the South and you have these alien egg looking things deposited in your yard, you probably have a hedge apple tree. As a matter of fact, that's the only, those things are pretty nasty. They get this white sticky sap that comes out of them. Pretty much useless for anything except target practice. Anyhow, the wood from those trees is an extremely dense hardwood, and it's flame resistant and makes excellent pipe bowls. I've been making pipes for several years. Matter of fact, I used to use briar. So there's one that I made and used quite a while. I made it several years ago. That's made out of Grecian briar. I just kind of like left the front of it on there and carved it down and made it look really nice, and didn't really follow any patterns. Just kind of it's just a block of briar that I turned into a pipe. And anyway, it was one of my favorites. One of the ones that I made here recently, I made with a hedge apple, which is that's it there. It's got looks like a whiskey barrel. I showed it in the first video. This is actually the one that sparked off the whole idea for the Smokin' Stills. And anyway, as far as it being flame resistant, I've got a few different kinds of wood here. Just going to show you what I mean by it being flame resistant. I've got some oak and pine, a piece of hedge apple, and also I've got a block of briar left over from the pipe making many years ago. I really need this, but I just like playing with torches. First off, we're going to hit the pine. This is what a lot of people think about making pipes of wood, is what you would expect to happen, because this is the kind of wood most people are used to. And you can see it just catches on fire and burns quite quickly. Not good material for pipe bowls. Then you have oak, which is a little bit more dense. It would probably work, but you notice whenever you put the fire to it, it also chars and starts to burn really quickly. While this would actually work better than pine, it's still not a great material for bowls. And this is a block of Grecian briar that's probably 100 or so years old. I used to buy this stuff off the internet when I was actually making a lot of pipes. Anyway, you can see when you put the flame to it, it chars slightly, but it won't actually burn like pine and oak will. I mean, it's just it chars the top layer and that's it. And that's why this has been used for centuries for making pipes, because once you burn the bowl in, it won't burn any farther than where you have the carbon layer deposited at. And then we have a block of hedge apple, which is what I use for the bowls I'm making now. And you know, same thing as briar. You can heat it, and go on and on with it. And even if it does start to flame up, if you take a knife and scrape it a little bit, you'll see that it's just barely even charred the layer, the top layer of it. So this wood, while it's really hard and dense and heavy, is excellent for making pipe bowls with, because it's also very flame resistant. So that part being done with, that's why we make our bowls out of hedge apple. I thought we would do a safety video this time around. If you've ever been in a situation where you needed to start a bonfire and you just couldn't get it to light, and the only thing you really have around is gasoline to light it with, well, I'm sure you've seen what can happen when you try to light the bonfire with gas fume around. You can take and like pour the gas down the yard, and make like a little fuse trail and light that, but that just messes up your grass, and you don't want that. So I have decided today what we're going to do our safety part on is how to safely light a bonfire with gasoline and exploding pellets. This could be very, very useful at your next whatever 4th of July get-together you have. All you really need to do this with is some standard lighter flints. These are like under $1 at Walmart. Get them in the little smoke aisle thing there. They're hanging up on the wall. Some 22 caliber pellets. I prefer the Crossman hollow points because they already have a hole in the end of them that's easy to drill out. Something to stick the lighter flint in the pellet with. I just use gray silicone. And then you're going to need a small drill bit that's the same size or maybe just slightly bigger than your lighter flint. And what you're going to want to do is you take your pellet and go ahead and get one of your lighter flints out. I probably should say something like, don't try this at home. It's probably not the greatest of ideas, but just get really bored. Don't try it because something could go wrong and I would probably get blamed for it. I'm used to that, but it's all good. Anyway, it'd be a really good idea to hold this with a pair of pliers rather than your fingers, but that's only if you're a girly man. If you're not a girly man, just use your fingers and just drill the hole out. Okay, so now we're going to test and make sure that our pellets are actually going to deliver spark like we need them to. Okay, let's give it a shot and see what happens. Hopefully the fire department won't show back up because they were kind of ticked last time they came over. Well, it appears that our exploding pellets were an epic failure. But that's okay. There's other ways to get a bonfire lit without hurting yourself. You can ask a friend, to light it for you. And in that case, if you can't find a friend who's willing to do it, there is another option. In science class, if you ever got to do like those little model rockets, well, there's an igniter that goes in the rocket engine that actually works off of electricity. You can make those at home with some copper wire. I found some of this in there's a big gray box hanging on the wall in the garage, and there was a lot of this just wrapped up in there and stuff. So I turned off the big switch and then cut out a couple of pieces and hooked up the wires where I cut them out at, but that's, it seems to be working okay still. So a couple of pieces of wire, some electrical tape, some smaller wire wrapped around a match head, and what I think is going to happen is whenever we connect this to our battery, you put your current across your two bigger copper wires here, and that should heat up the one in the middle and strike the match head, and poof, you have successfully lit your bonfire without getting hurt. But the other thing we're going to need is some kind of a switch, which is what we have here. It's like a little clothespin kind of thing. Try to wrap some more wire around, and what we'll do is nail this down to a board and put this in the middle of it. Then we're going to use some 550 cord to pull that out to close the circuit. That way we can actually turn it on to light up the match when we're a long way away. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so with a little bit of luck, we're all set up. We've got our string. We're a safe distance away. I see smoke. So if all else fails, just brace yourself for a hold my beer moment. Actually, somebody asked me the other day, you stupid rednecks, why is it always beer? Well, because no great story has ever started with when I finished my salad and tofu,
That's why it's always beer.
So till next time, thanks for watching.